my name is Dr. Poppy Moon, and today I would like to give you a how-to guide on how to do an American School Counseling Association risk assessment at your school. So let's talk about a little bit of an introduction to suicide risk in school. You, as the school counselor, you're playing a really crucial, I can't talk today. You're playing a crucial role in identifying and addressing suicide risks in students. So the goal of this is to connect with the student. You want to establish trust, and you want to make a safe space where they can talk to you and they can share any of their concerns openly. So what this presentation is going to cover are essential assessment steps, some ethical considerations that we need to look at, and some tools for effective support. The American School Counseling Association provides really clear standards and guidelines for school counselors in preventing suicide and intervening when students are at risk. So ASCA expects school counselors to be advocates, to be facilitators, and to be responders in managing students' mental health needs and to collaborate with the school and community resources. Remember, that's a big thing that we always do as school counselors is we want to advocate for students and we want to collaborate with people to make sure that we're all working together to help students out. So the emphasis on this is placed on early identification of risks. We want direct communication with our staff, our parents, our administration, and we want to connect students to appropriate support systems. So let's look at ethicals. The ASCA ethical standard, A9, it outlines the responsibility of the school counselors, and it helps us to prevent serious and foreseeable harm to students. So counselors, we're expected to act promptly, to involve the personnel that is the personnel that's helping us with this. So maybe a teacher is coming to you, maybe a parent is coming to you, and you want to maintain a balance between confidentiality and necessary disclosure to protect student safety. A lot of times a teacher will refer a student to you and they're concerned about maybe a suicide risk. And you've talked with the student and you are working on your paperwork and the teacher comes and they're like, oh, can you tell me what's going on with him? Again, because you're the school counselor, and I like to say that you're a Harry Potter secret keeper, right? You're the one that keeps all the secrets for everybody. You can let them know, hey, I did talk to the student. I know what's going on right now, and I promise I will give you enough information so that you can be successful in working with them in the classroom. And that's normally enough. Teachers will understand and they will appreciate that you are confidential and that you're showing that to the staff. So counselors also need to be aware of any school or district protocols and policies that support doing a suicide risk assessment. So sometimes the ASCA one that I'm going to show you today, your school district may do it a little bit differently, and that's okay. But I want to be sure that you understand how this works. So if you do need to use it and your school doesn't have one, then you can definitely use this. So ASCA emphasizes the importance of directly addressing suicide with the students who might be at risk. So as a school counselor, what you want to be able to do is initiate a conversation in a way that's supportive and non-judgmental. You want to be able to ask direct questions about the student's thought and access the means if they report any suicidal ideation. So what ASCA wants us to do is to gather as much relevant information as possible. And that's going to include recent behavioral changes that the teachers and other staff might see, any social stressors that you know are going on. And you want to rely on a lot of different things without just relying on a single assessment or a single assumption. So let's look at a student here. All right, this is Ethan's story. And this is a video that I made for you so that you can see what a suicide risk assessment might look like. And it's not fancy and it's not long. It's just will give you an idea of what you will be doing in a risk assessment.
Hello, Dr. Moon.
Well, you already know who I am. I'm Dr. Moon. So I just want to let you know that when we talk today, most of the things that you'll tell me are going to be private. But sometimes if you tell me something like maybe you want to hurt yourself or you want to hurt somebody else, then I have to maybe get other people involved just to make sure that you're safe. And I hope that is okay with you today.
Okay.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about what's going on. Your teacher, she brought a little paper that you had written, and on it she said that you wrote that it doesn't matter and no one cares. So I just wanted to check in with you.
Well, it doesn't matter. Like when my parents got a divorce, came to a new school here, and still fit in with anybody. You know, And I don't even like to do what I used to do. Like, I used to play basketball a lot, I love playing basketball. It's just not the same.
Yeah.
And I miss it, and it just gets me down.
So it's like you're in this new place, just been thrown in here, your parents have gotten divorced, so are you going back and forth between their homes?
Yeah, I'm still going to, when I'm here with my mom during the week, so I go to school here. And sometimes I go back home with my dad goes on the weekends.
What's that like?
It's really confusing.
Yeah, because before you all lived together
Yeah,
and then this happened.
it's really sad. It's like, if you don't like the, if I'm a hot potato, you thrown back and forth.
I mean, I can understand that. That's not fun. So you have to pack every week to go back and forth. So you said that that's making you, you feel kind of down. Do you think about hurting yourself?
Sometimes,
Mhm.
when I'm really down, I don't know. I don't know, I just feel so bad. I don't know what's going on.
Okay, can I ask you some questions about that?
Sure.
So when you think about that, do you have a plan? Have you thought of something like, I might kill myself when I'm feeling this slow?
Not really, I guess it's just more of a feeling,
That you have inside?
yeah.
Um, so you don't have a plan, or anything like that?
No,
That makes me feel better. Because I worry about you. I know we don't know each other very well, but I do worry about it. So are there any things that you were doing, maybe like some sports or hanging out with friends that it's making you have something to look forward to?
I mean, right now, no, not really. It's just I'm trying to make new friends and that's so hard. I mean,
Being in a new place.
I'm the new kid,
Yeah,
and it's like, I don't have a place to be. I don't have to be there, I don't have where to go.
so was it different at your old school?
Yeah, a little bit, but it was getting pretty bad there too. But I just don't feel like I belong anywhere.
So at your old school and here, you're not feeling like you fit in anywhere.
Not really.
Are there any kind of extracurricular activities that you enjoy?
I mean, I do like playing basketball.
Did you play at your old school on a team?
Yeah.
Okay.
I-
What was that like? I've always wondered, I've never played a team sport. I always wondered what that would be like.
It's it's fun. It's like you're on a team. You sort of do stuff together. You work on your individual skills and whatnot, and you use those to come together to win.
So you felt a real camaraderie there.
Yeah,
Okay, so you did fit in on a basketball team.
I guess I did.
Yeah. So here we also have a basketball team. Is that something that you might be interested in?
I tried out, but I don't know. I just couldn't get along with anyone.
So did you make the team or you just tried out?
I just tried out.
Anything else that you enjoy? Reading books or singing or musical instrument?
I like playing guitar,
Okay. How long have you done that?
like about a year or two.
That's cool. I bet there are a lot of people here, the guys that would be interested in, you know, starting a band or something like that.
Yeah, and that'd be great.
Well, I'm good friends with the music teacher. Maybe I could chat with her and see if there's any consideration.
That would be great. Thank you.
Well, I know that just talking to me for just a little bit, probably things are not going to be changing like in a huge way. But I'm here and I'm happy to always talk to you whenever you're feeling really low.
Okay, thank
Do you
you.
have other adults? I know that your mom and dad, you're going back and forth between them. Are they trusted adults that you can talk to?
I can talk to them some, but it's like they've got their own thing going on, and it's like I'm sort of in the middle of it. So there's past the point where I can't really go. But I do have an uncle I can talk to.
Okay.
I talk to him sometimes, and it's like he lives far away, so I don't get to see him.
Well, maybe you could Zoom with him. I have Zoom on my computer here, and if you ever want to like have a chat with him, I can totally turn that on and leave the room and like have some time.
Okay,
So, yeah, I just want you to know that I'm always here. You can talk to me if your thoughts turn dark, or if you're just worried about yourself. I should probably chat with somebody.
okay,
Thanks, Ethan. I'm glad you can find.
thanks, sir.
Okay, so when you look at videos like that, or when you're thinking about doing a suicide assessment, it's not comfortable for you as the counselor. It's always going to feel uncomfortable because you have to ask tough questions. You have to ask, are you a suicide? Are you thinking about suicide? Are you thinking about a plan? And that can be uncomfortable, especially because we don't do these all of the time. We just do these some of the time when the incidents come on. So don't feel like, I did a terrible job with them, or I wish I hadn't said this or that. It's okay. I promise you, it's okay. You will do your best and you will work on this, and it's going to be fine. So if you go on the ASCA website, you can download a suicide prevention toolkit. I think that's what they call it. And they have a bunch of different worksheets in there that will help you work through all of the different things. So here is, this is what it says for the student conversation. And it says to ask these questions, like, do you have things that are stressing you? Have you experienced any recent changes in sleeping? Then the next one is, have you been thinking about dying by suicide? So I've written my notes over here that Ethan was adjusting to his parents' divorce, that he's got some behavioral changes, and that he's had some fleeting thoughts about harming himself, but he didn't have a specific plan or intent. Let's see what else we have here. Oh, let me go back one. It also asks the question, how do you envision dying? Which I asked him. I was like, do you have a plan? And based on his response, he's just had some passing thoughts about suicide. I mean, it just seemed like he was just down, and anybody can be just down, especially his parents divorced. He's moved to a new school. He doesn't know a lot of people. So we can all understand a kid saying something like that, but not meaning it literally. Okay, so again, I've made some more notes here. It wanted to know what makes you happy. I talked about Ethan maybe playing guitar, maybe getting into some basketball, and maybe starting a band. So who knows if something like that might help for him. All right, so I'm not concerned about him. I do not think that he is a suicide risk assessment. And at this point, I'm not going to contact his parents because I don't think that this is something that they need to be brought into at this point. I would definitely make some really good notes about my conversation with him. If you feel uncomfortable though, and you do want to talk to the parents, that's okay. You can 100% do that. And ASCA tells you to talk to parents or guardians for sure when you have a concern about suicidality. If you are like Ethan, he's having these thoughts, you could say to him, and like I said at the very beginning, I'm going to keep things private unless I'm worried about, something happening to you, if you're a threat to yourself. And then I, of course, would ask for his permission before I talk to his parents. So in this case, I don't think it's necessary, but if you felt uncomfortable about it, you could always say to the student, I'm just worried about you. Would it be okay if we had a conversation with your mom and dad so that you could let them know that you're feeling down? That's okay. It's up to you. And if you're not sure, you can always call a colleague, or you can call whoever is head of the guidance department for your district and talk to them and see how you should proceed from there. But let's say that we are talking to the parents. Things that we need to do as counselors. One, we should give parents factual information rather than assessing or downplaying the low risk. So ASCA recommends that we empower students to participate in the discussion with their families if you think that's appropriate, and to have transparency. So that would be me talking to the student and saying, hey, I think we need to talk with your parents because I'm very worried about you. How would you like to talk to them? Would you like me to talk to them? Would you like to have a phone call and all of us talk together on the phone? Would you like for us to have a meeting and you come into the meeting and I help you say these things to your parent? So I want the student to feel like they have as much autonomy as possible when you're talking to them. Okay, Parents and guardians, they are our key partners in supporting students' mental health. So involving these parents helps the student ensure that they have a network of care that's beyond just the school environment, that we're moving into with the parents into the community to make them feel safe. So ASCA recommends that we engage parents as early as possible when there is a concern about a suicide risk. Okay, so now we're going to start the conversation with the parent. And especially if you are a new counselor, this can be overwhelming. It's okay. First thing I would do is, again, talk with a colleague about how you were going to do this. How are you going to talk to them? What things are you going to say? You can even make up a little script for yourself that you could use to make sure you get all of the things in. But before you ever start the conversation, make sure that you have all the necessary information. So that means observations, concerns, and support options that are available to the student. So you want to come in when you're talking to them with empathy, and you have to be mindful that this is going to be something that is very distressing, or this is going to be something that's very surprising for the parents. So plan to discuss concrete ways that they can support their child, and be prepared to answer any questions they have very calmly and very clearly. First thing you want to do when you're talking to them is build rapport. I like to do that by sharing positive insights about the student. So I'm showing them that I see their child as a whole person and not just some challenge that I have to deal with as the counselor. You want to use non-judgmental language. So you might want to say something like, I want to talk to you about some concerns that I have about Ethan and how we can work together to support him. Okay, we're working together. It's not like, oh, your kid is bad or your kid is committing suicide, and I'm just going to tell you this. No, I want to start a relationship with them. And I also want to avoid alarming language, but I also want to be direct because I want them to understand the need to support his safety. So sharing observations. I want to focus on specific observations rather than assumptions or labels. So I'm going to describe behaviors or expressions that prompted my concern. I might say something like, we've noticed some changes in Ethan's behavior, such as he's withdrawing from his friends, or he's expressing feelings of hopelessness. And I want to reassure them that the goal that we are doing together is to create a plan that makes their child feel safe and supported. So sometimes parents will worry, as rightly they should, about confidentiality and support. So I want you to explain your role as the school counselor. Talk about confidentiality limits and why it's essential to share this information to make sure that the student is going to be safe. Reassure them that this conversation is private, except for any safety concerns, which are required to that are required to be shared to protect the students. I want parents to feel like they can ask me anything. I want them to be to think. I want to be transparent, and I want to ensure that they feel that they're included in this process. So when they come in, I don't want them to feel like, ooh, they're in trouble because they're at school and the counselor wants to talk to them. You want them to feel like, hey, we're working together to help your student. One thing that I want to have with me while I'm chatting with them are available resources. So I want to have community mental health services. I want to give them crisis line numbers. And I also want to talk to them about any in-school support options that we can give. And I want to encourage them to explore outside support, outside of the school. So they can pursue their own counselor or therapist, or maybe they find them a youth support group. And that's great. I like it when parents are proactive and they go out and they do this together as a family. I also want to provide them with contact information and offer to assist them in the referral process. So if they are unfamiliar with mental health resources, I want to educate them so that they can feel more confident. I want to let them know that I'm going to be following up on the student here at school, checking the student's well-being, and make sure that they're accessing support. And I also want to emphasize that I have told the student, and I am also telling the parent, that they can reach out to me anytime if they have concerns or if they have any additional needs. So I want to reinforce the idea that we are collaborating together. We are an ongoing support system that includes the family and the student and the school. All right. So in the ASCA Suicide Prevention Toolkit that I was telling you about, it also has a notes section that you can use for the conversation with the parents and guardians. And it also gives you some questions that you could ask them. But this would only be if I was contacting them because I really was concerned that the student was going to do something. So at the very end of the toolkit, it has a informational questionnaire sample. And this is very basic. It's kind of like a basic report that you would write after you had done a suicide assessment. However, they say here up at the top that your school district may not have one. And if you do have one, you could use this as a guide, or you want to use the one that your school district uses and recommends. But it's just very basic stuff. It talks about the conversation you had with the student. It talks about the conversation that you had with the parent. And then it has a student support plan. So if this was a problem and you were going to move forward with getting the student additional help, this is a place where you could write all of that out. Okay, so I hope that this was helpful in explaining to you how to do a suicide risk assessment. If you have any questions about it, you can just send me an email at moon@ulm.edu. And I'm happy to talk to anybody that has questions about this, or kind of, give you a pep talk and say, hey, you can do this, and I'm happy to help. So I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope that this is helpful for you, and I'm always available if you have any questions or concerns.